Chivas and Pachuca have punched their ticket for the big final. Women's Liga MX, first leg at Pachuca, second leg at Chivas. And it's going to be a great final because finally, Cristina Alexander, great to talk to you. Great being with you here talking about this big event, because in recent seasons, we saw Tigres and Rayadas, both teams from Monterrey, dominating the league. And we finally have two other teams that will compete for the title. Before we go deep into the game and the matchup, just how important was it for the league to have two different teams actually competing to win the trophy?
Very important, Mal. Great to be with you as well. Very important. And you make a great point because in the last few seasons, we had gotten so used to seeing Monterrey Tigres. We had seen Chivas recently as well, which was a little bit of a revenge here, eliminating them in semifinals and now being in this big final against, I think, the surprise of the season, honestly, with Pachuca, after we didn't see a lot from them in that last season, being able to be in Liguilla, being able to just reach this awesome final, which I'm so excited about. I think it's so attractive. I know a lot of the fans were hoping another matchup between Monterrey and Tigres, which they never disappoint, not only on the field, but also with the fans. So that's also another opportunity to see how the fans respond at the Hidalgo, how the fans respond at Estadio Akron, at Chivas's home, in what will be such an attractive final. It is so important. And it's actually not the first time that we see them in the final. That first season was actually also a Chivas Pachuca, where we did see Eva Espejo, curiously enough, as the Pachuca manager. And now she was eliminated by her former team. So there's so many storylines that go into this big final now. And of course, speaking of attractive matchups, what we hope to see with the offensive side, not only for Pachuca, but of course with Alicia Cervantes and Chivas, right?
That's right. And these two teams actually face each other in week number 1. Big win for Chivas at Pachuca. We had Alicia Cervantes scoring a brace, but also one of the bigger names in women's soccer in the history of Mexico, Charlyn Corral, will be a part as well of the final. Now, if I were to ask you, what did these two teams do well during the season to beat both Regios teams and install themselves on the final, what would you say was the biggest element that makes these two teams actually really, really strong?
I think what Chivas did, and they showed that against Tigres, is that they became a reactive team. And in that second leg, they became an active team. And also to be able to beat Tigres 2-0, and especially that 0 against an offensive side that is one of the most powerful teams, a powerhouse that is Tigres, and to be able to really defensively, which is a beautiful reflection as to what we saw with this Chivas team in the regular season, 17 games and only 6 conceded goals. And that's something that they really have to rely on, because they also had to react against Pumas. Because as you know, Mal, Pumas was doing a great job against this Guadalajara and really just scoring and surprising them, which a lot of teams hadn't been able to do. So I think Chivas just kind of came together. They really trust Alfaro, the manager, and came together and didn't let that happen against Tigres. If it would have happened against Rayadas, I think I would have understood a little bit more, because Tigres is just so consistent when it comes to that offensive side, and Chivas was able to shut them down. Now with Pachuca, I mentioned that last season they didn't do as well as a lot of us expected. And Charlyn Corral didn't do as well as a lot of us expected, because she came in, Natalia Gomez Junco came in. So they had a couple of signings there that really just kind of put Pachuca as expectation-wise in the first few places in the table, but it was something completely different. Charlyn didn't score the goals that were expected from her, but she definitely came back with a punch, because she was pressuring Alicia Cervantes week by week. And she also had a spectacular run against Rayadas and has been so great in this Liguilla. And it's going to be very, very tough to stop her. But what better than to see how Chivas can do defensively and show once again why they had those impressive numbers in the regular season.
Yeah, and on the Pachuca side, a lot of credit has to go to Juan Carlos Cacho, who took over the job after Octavio Valdez left the team under very questionable and, to be honest, disgraceful circumstances. But the fact that he was able to keep the motivation high for this team, because this team does have a lot of talent, but it's not the same going through the circumstances that the team had to go and now being playing for the final. I think a lot of credit has to go to Juan Carlos Cacho. All right, Cristina, who has the edge?
Oh, that's such a tough question, but I think I'm
Putting
still
you in
gonna...
the spot.
Oh man, it's really tough because Pachuca has done so well in this liguilla. They had a little bit of irregularity there during the regular season, but I do think it had to do with that coaching change. And I think Cacho has really just kind of brought this team together. That is something that these women really, really needed, especially after, you know, what had happened with the questionable circumstances that you already mentioned. So I think he's done a great job at bringing them together and just really facing this liguilla head on without a single doubt. But Chivas has had such a great season. They only lost, I mean, their first game in what we've seen now in Liguilla because they were undefeated in that regular season. So I think I'm still going to stick with Chivas because I did say before the Liguilla started that Chivas was going to make it to the final, and here they are.
I think they are the stronger team, and I do believe they have the edge, just being so regular during the season, but also during La Liguilla, during the playoffs. I think this is a very, very strong squad. I think Chivas has to win the title. We'll be back next week to recap the action of the Women's Liga MX big final right here on ESPN Deportes. Cristi, thank you.
Thank you.